are the air I breathe. You are the air I breathe. Your holy presence lives in me, and I'm grateful for you. Sing with us. And I'm grateful for you. You are the air I breathe. You are the air I breathe. Your holy presence living in me, and I'm grateful for you. And I'm grateful for you. I'm
Good morning, everyone. We are grateful for you. You have come out in this torrential rainstorm to be here and share in this incredible service here at Unity of Boulder. So we are grateful for you. Is there anybody here from another Unity out of town? Here for the first time? You have to raise your hand higher. What Unity are you from? Oh, okay. Lake City, that's fantastic. Salt Lake City. All right, that's kind of like Mormon territory. So to be in a Unity church in Salt Lake City is to be like a maverick. All right, well, welcome here. We're all mavericks here. Okay, all of you out there watching on the screen, you should take some time to join us here right in this beautiful sanctuary again. We take care of this place. We make sure that it's completely devoid of all viruses. We use the special EG lighting, and we do all the wiping, we do the masking. But now you can take your mask off as you come in and share in this service. Unity of Boulder is an all-inclusive community. And I want to share this with you. This is from Don Miguel Ruiz, the author of The Four Agreements. He's just an in-depth master of life, and this is what he has to say. I think it's so appropriate for all of us. Being what you are doesn't require any effort. When you become wise, you will accept yourself the way you are, and the complete acceptance of yourself becomes the complete acceptance of everyone else. What a concept. Enjoy.
Everyone, welcome to Unity of Boulder. My name is Mike. I'm the administrator here at the church. If you ever have any questions or comments about pretty much anything here at the church, my office is right in there at the bookstore. Please stop in and say hello. I always love to chat. It's very nice to see so many people. Our numbers here actually live in person are growing. It's wonderful to see. So welcome, and welcome to everyone who's watching online. We love having you with us there as well. So I got a few quick announcements. All of them actually are about next Saturday, June 5th. We got a few things going on here at the building, a few things even at the same time. For a lot of you know, we have NIA dance classes 3 times a week over here in Fellowship Hall. If you've ever wanted to do it, but we're kind of a little bit nervous to do it because it's something you're new to, we're having a new to Nia play shop over here in Fellowship Hall this Saturday from 10 to 12 p.m., led by Becca Hartman, who leads all our classes. And it's just an introduction into the Nia lifestyle and the fitness lifestyle that it's all about. It's $25, so you can sign up for that in the bookstore or online or on Saturday morning. You can inquire in the office if you have any questions about that. Our Breakdown to Breakthrough Spiritual Awakening group also meets this Saturday from 1:30 to 3:30. Anyone's welcome to, it's just a walk-in group. Anyone can come in and join that. And that always meets on the first and third Saturdays of every month. And that's led by our good friend Daniel Rivard. And also next Saturday, we're asking for volunteers to come join us and help us clean the grounds of our property here. It's getting a little overgrown, so if you have any hedge trimmers, weed eaters, rakes, anything like that, we just want to try and get this place cleaned up, and that's going to start at 10 a.m. next Saturday. So please come on out and join us for that. And that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom in the tree, you know how I feel. New dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. Feeling good. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know how I feel, don't you know? Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world, and a bold world for me. Stars, when you shine, you know how I feel. Scent of the pine. You know how I feel. Freedom is mine. I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I feel so good. I feel good.
We all have a very special opportunity today. We're welcoming back someone who was one of this ministry, served in this ministry for a couple of years, and now he is the president of Unity Worldwide, and he's here to share his information with you, his truth and his spirit. Let's have a warm welcome for Shad Groverland.
You applaud now, but you haven't heard the talk yet. It might be a total turd. All right. Well, it's good to be here. And I'm glad to see all these beautiful faces in this space. It's awesome to see you. There is something special about seeing a face, and I've learned to really, really, really enjoy that. So that's a good thing. This is coming back around. All right. Well, sometimes I like to start off my talk with a joke to kind of lighten the mood, and sometimes I like to do something serious and just get us right into it. So let's look at this next slide and see if you can guess which one we're doing here. If God is love, then who or what creates tragedy? What do you think, joke, or are we getting right into it? We're getting right into it, that's right. All right, if we're going to be able to answer this question, we're going to have a little bit of a common and better understanding of what God is. We just kind of threw that word up there with the assumption that you understand, or that we have this common understanding of that. So I think our first of 5 basic Unity principles is going to help us with that. So this is what it says. God is the source and creator of all. There is no other enduring power. God is good and present everywhere. First and foremost, God is good and present everywhere. We have to sort of hold on to that as we're going to move forward in this talk today. God is good and God is ever present. Also, there is no other enduring power than the goodness of God. There is no other enduring power than the goodness of God. And this is kind of hard for us to accept in this modern world today, because we see what appears to be things that are not good, and they don't feel like they are God. And we are faced with what appears to be an inaccurate message here, a message in conflict with the reality of what we are experiencing, the lives we are living, which adds more layers to the question. If God is good and God is love, why do we see things in the world which are not good and not love? It's a head scratcher, right? I bet many of us in this room have come to that question in our lives at some point in time. Historically, the debate on this topic has led to the conclusion that there must be a force other than God. That has been the natural conclusion. There must be a force other than God. That is why we see such things. One is that is contrary to God, one that is not good, one that is not love. And that would sort of explain the system we're in logically. And this force has been given many names throughout history, like the devil, Satan, evil, darkness, Beelzebub. There's all sorts of names out there. And this is sort of a side tangent here, but I was actually a minister in Las Vegas, at Unity of Las Vegas, and as you can imagine, in Las Vegas, you occasionally get drunk dials onto your voicemail when you come to the morning you get to listen to. I had a especially fond memory of one that Erin actually shared with me. My wife was the church administrator at the time, so she's like, you have to hear this one. And we came in to listen, and it was just this person that was obviously blitzed out of their mind. They just kept saying, the problem with Unity is you're not afraid of Beelzebub. And the way they said Beelzebub was so priceless that every once in a while my wife and I would turn to each other and just go, Beelzebub. So it really hit home. But you see, the first unity principle is very clear about whether there is even the possibility of something like evil or a force like the devil, what we might call these names. It says God is the source and creator of all. There is no other enduring power. God is good and present everywhere. And the important part being, there is no other enduring power. It says there can't be. There is no other enduring power other than the power of goodness that is God. But wouldn't we be a bit naive today to say that there is no evil in the world when we look at what's happening? There is no darkness in the world. There is no force other than good at work in the world today? It seems like it might be a bit naive to say that. And I think it's okay to say. I think that is a naive thought. We can't just ignore what we are seeing and experiencing in the world today. After all, the Bible and many other spiritual texts, if we've read around the different religions in the world and different faiths, almost all of them refer to or talk about a presence that is evil or is darkness or is at work in the world today. And frankly, we as humans seem infatuated with this idea of evil and darkness. We've put it in all sorts of things that we experience because we're just so convinced that it is there. But here is the other problem we have with this. Suppose we ignore that part of our first unity principle. We just say, we're just going to ignore that. And we conclude that there is, in fact, another power other than God. We're going to ignore the first unity principle and say, no, that's not true. There is, in fact, another power other than God. Well, this presents a new problem for us to ponder, because most religions agree with our first basic unity principle when it says this right here. God is the source and creator of all. Most religions, basically whatever their take is or whatever they call God or this divine entity, they say that this is the source and creator of all. It created all things. So even if there was this power other than God, then we would have to conclude that God made that also. But God is good. How could God make evil? You following the logic here? God made all things. So if we're going to conclude that there is this thing called evil or darkness or a contrary force to God, God must have created that also. And that is exactly the issue of debate that has been around for thousands and thousands of years in theological groups and religions and faiths. If there is evil, God has not only allowed it, but God has also created and instigated it. And if God allows and creates evil, then how can we say that God is actually good and that God is actually love? Those would seem very contrary to each other, very at odds. Well, this is enough to make your head spin, I would imagine. So instead of traveling down the spiritual, religious, and theological debate on the issue itself, I say we clear this slate of confusion and start with nothing. We just start with nothing and go from there. We start with nothing. No God, no divinity, no spirituality, no nothing, no evil, no good or bad, no love, just nothing. Let's start with nothing. Let's think about it from a basic atheist perspective or view of the world. They would say, there is no God, so I just have to deal with life as it happens, right? They'd say there's no God, there's no devil, there's nothing like that, there's no powers outside myself, so I just have to deal with life as it happens. Fascinating, because that is actually a really good place to start. We just have to deal with life as it happens. If we remove the possibility of anything beyond just this physical experience, it forces us into a position where we just have to deal with life as it happens. And it's not the best way to live. I wouldn't say that's our goal here, but it might be a slightly better way to live than to try to find some force outside ourselves to blame. It might be a better way to live. To try to remove the idea that there is evil, that these stars have created it, that Mercury's in retrograde, that darkness exists, that this, that, or the other thing. If we just removed all that, trying to figure out this complex system, and we basically said, no matter what, I have to deal with life as it happens. Because that might be better, because it actually puts ownership back in our hands. It puts ownership and the power back in our hands. Ownership of our experience. So let's build on that basic concept, that I just have to deal with life as it happens because there is no outside power whatsoever. Suppose we stripped away any preconceived notion we have about how life works. I know that'd be hard for us because we've spent many years developing our perspective, but if we could just strip that away and just accept this next statement to be true. Regardless of how the universe actually works, I know I have control over my reactions. Suppose we just let all of it go. Everything we believe in, Reiki, healing, energy, and prana, and all that stuff, we just let all of it go. We say, I don't know if any of that's real, but I do know that I have control over my reactions. Just that fundamental step we took. Maybe we don't know for sure if there is this divine intelligence at work in our lives. Maybe we don't know if there's anything greater than this physical experience out there. But maybe we do know that whether there is or there is not, we control our experience by controlling our reaction to experiences. Do you see how that puts the power back into our hands? We control our experience by controlling our reaction to experiences. Now, if we are here in Unity today, or we're here for the first time, we probably found our way here, it's probably because we are experiencing something beyond ourselves. We are communing with something beyond ourselves. You want to call it divine intelligence, you want to call it God, you want to call it flow, whatever you want to call it. We are experiencing something beyond ourselves, and it's brought us here today to maybe learn more about it, to commune with other people who are having that experience. But before we jump to the idea of a God, one who just sits back and sort of manipulates and controls the experiences of our lives in this world, like a puppet master pulling on the strings, I want us to remove the idea that something else is toying with our lives. Whatever it is for you, whatever you call it, I want you to just try to remove the idea that something outside you is toying with your life. We're just going to simplify things for a bit. Keep it simplified. If we take one step further from the atheist perspective, and we recognize something more akin to a humanist atheist might say this: I wouldn't call it God, but there is a goodness flowing through all of life, which I can either support and align with, or resist and move away from. This starts to step us towards a recognition that there is some force at work outside of us, which at this point we're just going to call goodness. It is at work, and it's at moving in and through us, outside us. It is a part of all the things that happen. But this statement still holds on to the responsibility that each of us chooses our experience. We haven't given our power away yet. We've still held on to the power that we still have a choice to align with or work against this goodness. And by choosing to work with it, we will have more favorable experiences in this life. And when we choose to work against it, we will experience more friction in this life because this goodness is trying to move forward. And if I pull away from it, I'm going to experience friction. Now, from this standpoint, just a few small steps further down the path of spirituality, and we wind up fundamentally at what Unity believes, which basically says this: there is a goodness and love that runs through all life, and it has consciousness. This conscious, loving goodness I call God, and it attracts all things towards itself, but never mandates it. God has given me the free will to either facilitate and align with it, or to resist and move away from it. Here we have taken a few more steps along the journey towards the acknowledgement of a divine, intelligent consciousness at work. But we've still held on to the ownership aspect, that I still have the free will and the power to choose if I want to work with this divine intelligence or I want to pull against it and experience friction throughout my life. Yes, there is a divine plan of God at work, is what we're kind of admitting here. And we get to choose whether we're going to work with the divine plan, towards love, towards good, or against the divine plan, away from love, away from good. But nowhere in that divine plan does it say that we are forced to be victims of circumstance, that we have to be victims of circumstance. And God made sure of this by giving us free will, by giving us, the children of God, the same free will that God experiences, and fundamentally the potential to even enjoy life in the same way that God enjoys life. As individuals and as a collection of billions of individuals, we have the free will to move in the direction of God or in the direction away from God. And each direction we choose comes with a consequence. And that's part of the free will choice we make. When we make a choice to be in alignment with this flow of God or to work against this flow of God, each of those comes with a consequence. So when I was a teenager, I had my first vehicle. I was actually right outside the glass doors right here, and I was installing some very big subwoofers, some speakers in my car. I wanted it to be the loudest car in Boulder, and I had the technological know-how to actually do that. I was working on sound engineering as my craft. And so I had all these big amplifiers in there, big speakers. I actually had to get a bigger battery so it could handle the load, that the energy required in my car, and it was a whole situation. So I had a really, really loud sound system, so I could flaunt my peacock feathers as I drove around and get people's attention as it rattled my windows almost to pieces. Well, I may have been young and dumb, but I now suffer the consequences of that choice. I have a slight form of tinnitus. I have ringing in my ears ever since the age of 16 to 20, where I was doing that. I chose the direction of loud music, and I had been warned by my parents. I had been warned by congregants who were just walking by watching me install these speakers saying, "You are going to blow your eardrums." And I went, "Yeah, because I'm cool." And I have lived with the consequences of that choice for the rest of my life. And since then, I've chosen not to beat myself up over it. There's really no point to that. But to accept it as a teaching tool for the rest of my life, to remind me to always take care of this body that works so hard to take care of me. So let's get back to our initial question that we started with here. If God is love, then who or what creates tragedy? Tragedy really can be only one of two things, and we have the free will to see it whichever way we like. So here we go. Tragedy is either a random occurrence that we get to choose how to react to, or part of a divine plan that we get to choose how to react to. A random occurrence that cannot be rationalized by our human mind, cannot be understood by the human mind because it's totally random. So if it is random, we can only choose how to react. That's all we can do. If it's a random occurrence, we can only choose how to react. Similarly, a divine plan constructed by an intelligence that is infinitely more vast than our own. I need you to really understand this point. We're talking about a divine intelligence that is infinitely more vast than our own. We spend so much time with our tiny, tiny, sad, pathetic little mind trying to rationalize what God or would not do. But yet this consciousness that we're talking about is infinitely more vast than our own. So if, in fact, there is this divine plan, it is based on the consciousness of something that is infinitely more vast than our own. It cannot possibly be rationalized or fully understood by this little consciousness that I'm holding on to here, this little thing I call my human mind. And with that being the case, we can only choose how we react. I cannot possibly understand a divine plan. It's impossible. I could not possibly understand a divine plan. It's way too big for me to rationalize. So really, I'm only left with the choice of how I react to the circumstances in my life. To try and judge what I see going on around me as bad or darkness or evil is simply, as I see it, an ill-equipped mind trying to understand something far greater than it is capable of doing. And so its fail-safe is to go to the logical conclusion that there is evil, that there is darkness, that there is a contrary force to God. Because it can't possibly understand that it itself is the flaw. It's too small to understand a divine plan. So it comes up with this rationalization. Now, we can try to blame people and circumstances for things that happen in the world today. We can even try to blame God or the devil or Beelzebub for things that happen in the world today. But blame is really a short-lived burst of adrenaline, which leaves behind a long-term feeling of emptiness. Perhaps you've experienced this. Blame is a short burst of adrenaline. It feels pretty good when we do it at first. But in the long term, it leaves us feeling pretty empty. Blame is immature in that sense because it fails to see how it only increases the overall suffering in any scenario. So let me give you an example of blame and how it works. When my daughter was probably between 4 and 8 years old, around that age where they're really starting to run and just be a mad person whipping around the house, she'd be running around, and she would trip on whatever it would be. Would it be a chair? Would it be the side of a wall? Which would be air? I don't know. She would trip on pretty much anything. And when she fell down, she would say, "Dad, why'd you do that?" Now, have you know, I could be 3 rooms away on the other side of the house, and she would yell out, "Dad, why'd you do that?" And I'd come in and I'd go, "What did I do?" She'd say, "I tripped." And I'd try to explain to her, "I couldn't possibly have done that. I wasn't even around you when it happened." But she would do it over again. She'd trip, a few months later and fall down. She'd go, "Dad, why did you do that?" Well, here's the thing. You don't learn how to avoid things that trip you if you blame things that have nothing to do with it. Do you understand what I'm saying here? You can't learn to avoid things that trip you if you blame things that had nothing to do with it. So let's go to this. From the book Illusions by Richard Bach. This might be difficult for some people to hear, so take it with a grain of salt. Maybe it's not true. Just say that and it'll help you feel better. The mark of your ignorance is the depth of your belief in injustice and tragedy. What the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls a butterfly. That's a pretty darn bold statement. Belief in injustice and tragedy puts one in the position of being victim of injustice and tragedy and suffering the hardships of injustice and tragedy. So then, if that's true, what is really going on here today? Well, since God is good and God is love, then anything appearing as something other than good or love is the distortion of a perspective that believes in things contrary to God, good, and love. I'm going to try to say that again. Since God is good and God is love, anything appearing as something other than good or love is the distortion of a perspective that believes in things contrary to God, good, and love. Now, if you're feeling a little reaction in yourself right now, just remind yourself, I don't know what I'm talking about. You're okay. I don't know what I'm talking about. You're perfectly fine. I'm just a random person standing up here flapping his lips, so you're all safe. You're all safe. The next step is that the belief in anything contrary to good and love brings about the experience of something other than good and love. If you could only truly believe in good and love, you could only truly experience good and love. It's once that seed of a belief in something else comes into the consciousness that opens the door to experience something else in that consciousness. Now, the scenario may seem to be difficult. The situation may seem to be unbearable. And we may never know how or why it has come about, or if God was responsible in some way for making this. Is this a test from the universe? Was this brought on because of my karma? Is this brought on because I deserve this, or am I supposed to learn from this? I don't know. You'll probably never know either. But what we do know for absolute certainty here and now is that the experience of this experience is always up to us. We spend more time trying to rationalize why it happened. And we'll put together all sorts of charts and diagrams that will help us explain why it happened. And we don't spend enough time just going, it happened. Now how do I grow from it? Because we may not ever figure out why it happened. And even the conclusion we came to might not be actually correct. But we do know that whatever happened, I have a choice of how I respond and grow from it. Which puts the power, so importantly, back into our hands. It puts the power of our experience back into our hands. All right, now let me address, I'm trying to start do this in my talks now. I want to address the possible spiritual bypass that could come out of this understanding. And for those that may not know what a spiritual bypass is, I'm just curious, raise your hand if you've heard the term spiritual bypass and you get the gist of it. A few, not a lot, okay. A spiritual bypass is using a spiritual principle to get around dealing with real-world issues. An example would be saying, it's in God's hands now. That's sort of a spiritual thing. We might say, let go, let God, it's in God's hands now. And we use that as a way of avoiding dealing with a difficult situation that's currently in our lives. We're going to have to deal with it. But the spiritual bypasses go, let go, let God, it's in God's hands now, walk away and watch the thing go up in flames behind us. And watch all the people get hurt around us because we did nothing to try to clean up our own mess. So these are spiritual bypasses. We sort of weaponize spiritual ideas and terms and use them against ourselves and others. So here's how this talk could turn into a spiritual bypass. If we are all responsible for our own reactions and experiences, then experience of others are their fault and not my problem. Do you see that? See how the mind could try to go there? This is a spiritual bypass, and this is how systemic racism and other bigotries have been allowed to continue in our world and our spiritual communities themselves. In recent decades, spirituality has become overly focused on the self-help aspects of spirituality, and less on the communal growth and the work to help others have a spiritual experience or have a life similar to our own. This has led to religious and spiritual organizations to turn a blind eye to the systemic racism and bigotry and problems that we see in the world today, in our country and in our spiritual communities, believe it or not. Most of which is not overt, conscious actions of one human being against another, not conscious racism, not conscious bigotry, but rather a collective subconscious allowance of the way things are or always have been. Subconscious allowance of a corrupt system which favors some individuals over another. So the truth of the matter is that we do in fact choose how we experience what we experience. But that in no way relieves us of the responsibility to help improve the experience of others and to actively work to remove those systems that consciously and subconsciously harm others or get advantages to some over others. Because no matter what, we are here not only for our own spiritual growth, but the growth and the improvement of the lives of those around us. In my perception, again, my perception, a person up here doesn't know what they're talking about, just babbling away, is that we've gotten a little selfish in the last few decades in spirituality, thinking very much about ourselves. My spiritual growth, my spiritual gain, my prosperity, my abundance, at the expense of recognizing those that are suffering around us. I think it's time we flip that switch. And that is the truth as I experience it. Thank you.
Now, and well, we have received some beautiful, interesting insights regarding life as it actually works and how to handle it and deal with it, and some direction of where we should be going to in our enlightened state of consciousness. I do believe that what Shad is saying is true. I think the entire human race is moving. It may seem slow, but we are moving toward a more enlightened collective awareness of each other and how life gets better if we concern ourselves, not just with ourselves, but with life in general and everyone else we're sharing it with. With those beautiful thoughts in mind, let's bring to mind that financial gift we'd like to make to continue the ministry here, Unity of Boulder, Spiritual Center. We have these particular ways in which you can donate. If you're online, you can look at these. These are ways that you can donate to Unity of Boulder. Those of you that are here in this sanctuary, you have the opportunity to make a physical donation. We have a basket in the lobby that you can leave a check or some money in. And also we have dip jars out there that you can dip your credit card in. So, in relationship to our COVID-19 restrictions, what we do is we bring to mind that financial gift we'd like to make to Unity of Boulder, and we bless it with this affirmative prayer. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is.
As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down, down in the river to pray.
As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, brothers, let's go down, come on down. Oh, brothers, let's go down, down in the river to pray.
As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way.
Oh, fathers, let's go down, come on down. Oh, fathers, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, mothers, let's go down, come on down, don't you want to go down? Oh, mothers, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, children, let's go down, come on down. Oh, children, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, people, let's go down, come on down. Oh, people, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way.
We have an incredible opportunity now because we're going to have just a few moments to share in the graduation of our Youth of Unity. And we're going to have Melinda come on up, who's the head of our Youth of Unity group, and she's going to have our graduation ceremony in here. Let's have a hand for these amazing people. Okay. Did I go too soon?
It's funny how they know me so well, and I come up here and one of them says, "Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry." Yeah, that's probably gonna happen. All right, so we have 3 graduates today. We have Anna, Will, and Kieran, and Chloe and I are gonna talk about all 3, give them some gifts, and then give them the opportunity to share what YOU and Unity has meant to them growing up this far. So, who am I gonna start with? Okay, I'm gonna start with Kieran. Kieran, when he was running around as a Uniteener in Sunday school, I think in Uniteens, he started dyeing his hair multiple colors, and I was like, kindred, I can get behind that. I appreciate that a lot. And he came in with his still chubby cheeks and his bright green, bright blue hair, kind of like, I don't know what this is what is this? And since then, he is like, he's the staple. I can always count on him to come. He's there early, sometimes earlier than me, which is impressive. Actually, it's not hard, so. But always there to step up, always there to do all of our activities. And he always seems so centered and calm. And you may not feel that way, but we're always like, Kieran's so chill. He's chill. He's got this. But he's also so completely there to engage and be a part of the conversation and share what he thinks, and then like back to chill. And it is such an impressive quality that I hope you never lose, to be able to just calm yourself down and be so centered. It's been great to see you grow and learn what a gamer you are and how successful you are at that. And just, you've become very well-rounded, and that's amazing to see for somebody who's 18. And I'm gonna give this over to Chloe. And I love you. We all love you. I'm gonna miss seeing your smiling face and your laugh. You're great, great laugh. I'm gonna miss hearing that on a regular basis.
Good morning, everyone. I want to take this opportunity to talk about each of the seniors' spiritual gifts that I have seen over the last few years. Kieran's gift is his precision and clarity. There's really not a lot of gray area for you, Kieran, and so continue to follow that clarity. It will take you so far. And continue the meditations and visualizations and let your mind be free, because I also feel like you are going to invent from that space and create from there. And I see you and I love you.
And we have a gift for you. Anna's another kindred soul. I love when teenagers are brave enough to dye their hair. And then we can have that conversation. Anna is such a social butterfly. She wants to be a part of the action, a part of the conversation. When she talks about something, even if she's disinterested, she never seems disinterested because she always is fully engaged and always has something amazing to say, and always usually one of the first to share, which I really appreciate. She's complicated, which I like. She's funny, sometimes overly sarcastic, which I also love. And I'm just sad that I didn't get to have all 4 years to watch you grow, because I got to see you when you were already starting to bloom, and I've not seen you stop at all. You are going to take everything you do by storm, because every step you take, you become more confident in who you are. And literally over the last 4 or 5 months, it's like leaps and bounds. You are like feeling, I'm who I am, and I'm gonna honor that. And I'm gonna miss, see, why did you have to say that before we came out? This is gonna be your last time seeing me, maybe, unless you come to the Legacy Rally. That's not true. I'll see you again. I always see all of you again, but I'm gonna miss you when I don't see you. Actually, we miss you a lot when you're not around, and I miss you a lot because you're my kindred soul sister. Did I? Oh yeah. Did I say I love you?
Anna, I love your artist spirit. I love how you are pushing the boundaries and looking for that space to go against, because you bring this beauty with you wherever you go, and that is a spiritual gift for this world. So keep on with the beautiful clothes and the hair and the art, because yeah, that is how you are going to find yourself more that way. And I also want to say how much I appreciate you going into meditation and really sitting there sometimes in very uncomfortable situations, because they're going to come up in life. But you are going to have these tools that you put yourself in willingly here with us to come back to and sit with again and continue to push the boundaries.
And we have a gift for you as well. Next and last, before we pass the microphone over to these three to talk about their experiences, is William. When you joined YOU, my first thought was, oh no. Because you were a lot. Your ADHD energy, your inability to want to focus, I was like, all right, 4 years of this. And then we would like start talking about meditation, and we'd start talking about grounding, and you would go from this to whoop, and you'd be centered, and you would have such insightful things to say. And I was like, oh, this is a facade. That first thing was a facade. That's not who you are. You are ready to like break down walls and start making change and like starting from within, which I have watched the person that you have become, that I got to watch grow. Like, it's amazing, because you were a handful. Oh, such a handful. And you still are, to be honest, but like, to just watch how, you know, meditating and praying in your own way and taking time to reflect has allowed you to take this part of you that was just too much and become so composed. You're proof of how inner work and meditation and prayer can change who you are. It can go against physiology. Like, it's amazing. You're funny, you're outgoing, you're ridiculously athletic. If I would have everyone, don't do a standing backflip, but he can do a standing backflip, and it's crazy. And I am so excited for your confidence to go out and be your own person in the world, because I love you and you're amazing.
Well, I also was told that I was too much a lot. And it's because we live in a world that wants things to be under control. But it's okay to let your passion fly. And you also, like Melinda was saying, have these amazing tools and have taken to meditation specifically, and like can drop in if you really want to. And you put yourself also in a situation where you're going somewhere where you don't know anybody. And that is amazing, because you are a light. And that Sagittarius fire is going to ripple out. It always does. Sagittarians are very, they like to travel, they like new cultures. And you are also a very spiritual being, and I see you continuously kind of reflecting on that aspect of yourself. So as you go out into the world, fear not, and remember to come back into that body of yours. That is such a tool that is also going to help you make amazing decisions. This is your decision maker. This is where you come from. And people are going to feel that, and it is going to ripple out. So remember to be the change you wish to see in the world, because people are watching you. And I love you guys so much. Congratulations.
Congratulations, all three of you. We have a gift for Will. All three of these seniors are, it's so refreshing to see people feel so settled in who you are becoming and who you will continue to be and grow. We love you, and I'm gonna pass the mic over so you can talk about what all this has meant to you.
Hello, everyone. So when I first started off YOU as a little 8th grader, I walked into the YOU room, I sat down, real quiet, and everyone's talking about something, I don't really remember, but I was just sitting there so nervous because I didn't know anyone. I knew maybe one person, and he graduated, but but I was sitting there, I'm like, wow, these next 4 years are gonna be a ride, and well, they were. From waking up Sunday morning not wanting to get out of bed to coming to YOU and being like, wow, this is amazing. And rallies were also incredible. My first legacy, I didn't really know what to expect. The car drive there was an experience. But yeah, the rally was really worth it, to go there and connect with other like-minded individuals and to really figure out what Unity was about. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Will. When I first joined, I was actually in 8th grade, and I joined YOU. I never actually went to Uniteens. I just hopped straight into the fun part. And when I first joined, I think I felt lost because I didn't really know what I wanted for myself, and I think that reflected out on people, and it showed as a really crazy ball of energy that wasn't able to be controlled. And when I went to my first rally, I was baffled. It was one of the craziest experiences that I've ever had, and I think that's what made me really realize that I wanted to be in tune with my body, because I realized that I wasn't in tune with my body at all. And I think that's when Melinda and Chloe and other members of YOU started to see that change of being able to take that crazy ball of energy and kind of bring it down and into myself and realize when I can and cannot use it and have that self-control. And I'm very thankful for everything that I've been taught, and I'm thankful that I got to experience the community here, because I really love it. But, yeah, thank you.
I've grown up in Unity. I've always had to go to church on Sunday, be a part of all the events, and I've always been like kind of pushed into it. Like some parts were nice, but then I was like, like I'm a kid, I don't want to go. I just want to be home, like chill. And parts were enjoyable, but I've never like been excited to go to Sunday and go to the Uniteens or go to the kids or group or whatever until I came here. And I moved here like sophomore year-ish. And I was like super dreading it. I was like, oh gosh, now I know absolutely no one here. I'm completely new. I'm already getting started, and I wasn't even here in my freshman year. Like, this is gonna be so weird. And it was just so mind-blowing how welcoming everyone was. And and I'm just so thankful for all the great experiences I've had, and I was just so surprised how much I've grown to love it, and I'm gonna miss coming back.
So the Sunday school have made you guys gifts. And they're gonna come bring that up.
Come on over, you guys. Thank you. These guys right here. Thank you so much.
Michelle, do you want to say something about the gifts?
So the Sunday school kids took their time this morning and thought about what you guys might need to know. And we thought that the Sunday school would be able to impart that kind of wisdom. So whatever happens in your future, you are set now.
So congratulations, my 2021 graduates. This has been a hard year, and I'm sorry that some of your experiences have been so limited and controlled into very small little boxes, but we have enjoyed every amount of time that we have gotten to spend with you, and we are exceptionally proud of you, and we love you, and we bless you, and we truly appreciate you, and we behold the Christ you are. Namaste.
next week.